I'm Lynda Rodwell. I'm an Associate Professor of Ecological Economics at the University of Plymouth.
I'm Elaine Hayes. I'm Chief Executive of the Plymouth Sound National Marine Park.
Hi, I'm Tom Chaigneau. I'm a Senior Lecturer at the University of Exeter at the Environment and Sustainability Institute.
So my research has really been in marine conservation, fisheries, and recently, a few years ago, I was involved in looking at research into city marine parks and how populations in cities can connect with the marine environment through these sort of establishments of marine parks. And it was at the time that actually the Plymouth National Marine Park was sort of in its infancy. And we were at a meeting about the marine park when we started chatting about the potential. And it was the same day the call for this PhD came out. So I kind of put the two things together and talked to Elaine about it. And we were both really enthusiastic on the idea of exploring that avenue, that really there are lots of gaps, lots of research gaps to fill in terms of the marine park.
So Plymouth Sound National Marine Park is a declaration, not a designation, and that's a very important difference in terms of structure and delivery. So that means that there isn't a statutory basis for the National Marine Park. This is something that Plymouth feels is so important because of Plymouth Sound and the importance of the sound to the city that we felt that a National Marine Park was the right way forward. And so we are putting together a 5-year delivery plan, which looks at the three stores of sustainability: economic, environmental and social, and how we can co-deliver that. So that's slightly different from a conventional UK national park.
This is the first national marine park in the UK, that whatever we discover is going to be so helpful for the declaration of further national marine parks in the UK. So it really is sort of groundbreaking stuff, if you like, and really exciting in terms of the PhD and the candidate that's going to join us. I'm an ecological economist, which means I'm sort of interdisciplinary in itself anyway. But I would be focusing on the sort of economics and some of the social aspects of the project. But also I teach systems thinking, and so my field, ecological economics, is all about seeing the connections in systems. And I would really hope that the PhD candidate would be involved in that as well. So we would see that as a sort of overarching way to bring everything together. Which I think would be really helpful in terms of this roadmap for the National Marine Park.
Yeah, so similarly to Lynda, I take very much a social ecological systems view whenever I do research. And a lot of my work over the last 10 years or so has been not only to try and understand how people derive well-being from marine and coastal management, but also how this well-being might inform and influence their stewardship towards the oceans as well. And I see all of this as very, very linked. One thing I'm particularly interested in is the fact that its focus really is on putting people within this system very much at the forefront. And so another angle that I'm increasingly working on is considering different groups of people within the community, how the costs and benefits of this park, for example, might play out differently to different members of the community, and taking that as a starting point, really, and hopefully informing not only other marine protected area, but also anything to do with managing the sea, considering different people within the system.
So we have two more people who will be involved in the supervision. One is Dr. Emma Sheehan, and she's a marine ecologist who's been doing a lot of work in Plymouth Sound, and is very keen to get the candidate involved in some of that work. There's also a Professor Martin Attrell who's been instrumental in the actual setting up of the park originally, and so he's very keen to be involved. He's a marine ecologist himself, but he's interested also in the governance side of things, so keen to work with all of us on that. So this is really interdisciplinary. We've got all aspects of the PhD covered by the supervision team. The candidate could come from any number of backgrounds. It could be economics, it could be sociology, it could be ecology, it could be marine science or environmental science or management. So whatever background they come from, they are open to learning the new skills from other disciplines and bringing them together in a sort of systems approach that we want them to take. And I think it's a really fantastic opportunity for them to do so. So we'll be identifying their skills and then then looking at the training requirements, for example, in other areas and helping them.
Whilst the expertise and the experience of the potential candidate is very important, it's almost like the person is the most important, because not only do you need someone that connects up with a lot of different stakeholders and a lot of different people, but also I think you need someone that's very passionate about managing our oceans and the coasts. And I think the candidate needs to be open enough to use whatever research out there is available to try and best answer that question, rather than have sort of preconceived ideas of what needs to be done.
First year of any PhD really starts with familiarity with the literature. So probably the first 3-4 months, really the students going to be expected to familiarize themselves with literature on marine parks, for example. But as Elaine's mentioned, one of the main things is that they get stuck into understanding about the stakeholders.
There's the academic side in terms of the method and approach, but also they need to understand what kind of information they will have access to that can then shape and look at how they develop that overall PhD plan going forwards.
I really think that the beauty of an interdisciplinary PhD is it opens so many doors. I really do. I think broadly that we would expect someone to want to go on to something like marine management, marine conservation, environmental management, perhaps a research or academic career. But working with councils, for example, they'll have a huge experience of working with a council on sort of economic development, social development within cities. It's quite wide ranging in terms of what they will be skilled up to do. So I think that's really exciting. It's going to be a really great opportunity. I think all of us are very, welcoming in terms of questions, but perhaps for the first instance to contact me, because then I can direct you to the best person to answer that specific question. So as the director of studies for the PhD, I'd be the best person to contact firstly.